بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to today's session. Today, inshallah, we will be looking at the letter Sheen. Okay, letter Sheen is a letter which is produced from the middle of the tongue. We've seen quite a lot of letters that have come from the tip of the tongue. And we've seen one that came from the middle of the tongue. We saw the letter Jim. And letter Sheen is also another letter that comes from the middle of the tongue. In total, there's 3 letters actually that come from the middle of the tongue. So Jim is one of them, Sheen is another one of them, and then there's the letter Ya, which we will not be covering today. Okay, so letter Sheen comes from the middle of the tongue. So if you imagine the middle of the tongue and you section it so that you're looking at just the middle part, then in that middle part or the middle section of the tongue, there are 2 areas on either side. So we're not going to the very edge of the tongue. I don't mean come to, the very edge. Okay, it's just in the middle section. There's 2 areas. So you're not going right to the center of the tongue. On either side, we're looking at 2 areas, and these lift. Okay, that's how we produce the letter Sheen. The 2 areas lift upwards towards the upper palate, okay, towards the roof of the mouth. Now, one thing that we do have to make clear here, which makes the Sheen very different to the Jim, is with the Jim, it was a point, right? So when we were looking at the letter Jim, it was from the middle section of the tongue. We were looking at the very center point, and we were trying to make that touch the upper palate. It actually came into contact with the upper palate. With the Sheen, you do not make contact. You don't actually touch the upper palate. So you're still away. Tongue is just raised towards the upper palate, but it doesn't touch. Okay, it doesn't touch the upper palate at all. Okay. One of the really common mistakes that people make with the letter Sheen, which I've seen many times, is to involve the lips. Okay. Now, the Sheen is not a letter which needs the lips for its correct pronunciation. So the lips do not need to actually get involved at all. So, for example, when we say sha with the fatha, then for this, the lips should not protrude outwards. Okay, you should not pout. You should not say shh. Okay, or you don't make a circling shape of any kind with the lips. You don't even go shh, shh. You don't even try to make like a circle shape. In fact, your lips are at rest. Okay, and do not need to come out or in a circular shape at all. This does actually change the sound of the Sheen, and so it does impact the sound. So it is important to get this right. So the lips are not sticking out at all. They're not even in a circular shape. And we concentrate on what's going on the inside. Okay, so we think about what our tongue's doing on the inside, the middle of the tongue, because that's where the sound is coming from. So with the fatha, we say sha, sha, sha. So as you can see, again, it's sounding like a letter, right? Nice ending. Sha, sha. You notice I am dropping my jaw. I'm spreading my lips a little bit. They are opening. Is very relaxed, apart from the middle of the tongue, which is slightly raised towards the upper palate. Sha. Then we have shu. Now, of course, the shu, you will be circling the lips. Okay, every single letter that has a dhamma, you will be circling the lips for it, not because of the articulation point, but because of the dhamma. Because to produce the u sound, we need to circle the lips. Okay, so it's because of the u sound, not because of the Sheen sound itself. Okay, so the circling of the lips in this case is because of the dhamma. So we say sha, shu, sha, shu. With the kasra, we say shi, sha, shu, shi, sha, shu, shi. Now, when we say the Sheen, which is joint, you'll notice that I always kind of discuss a little bit more when the letter has a sukoon and it's joint to the letter before, and it's because really whenever a letter has a sukoon, its qualities are really pronounced. We can hear them very clearly. So Sheen, we know already it's a light letter. It's a letter of hums. It's one that we're relying on the sound of our breath. When we say it's the sound of your breath coming through. Okay. So the Sheen one it's the hums letter. It's also a letter which I've mentioned, which we've seen quite a lot of letters. It's a rahawa letter, which means we've got to stay on it and we'll have to prolong it. We keep it running for a bit. We don't just stop. So here we say ash, ash, ash. It also has a very special quality of, it's called tafashi, and it's the sound of the spreading of the breath inside the mouth. So from the middle of the tongue, as the breath comes forward, it fills up or it spreads out inside the front of the mouth up until the teeth. So we say ash, ash. So that sound that you hear, the fashi sound, the spreading of the air inside the front of part of the mouth up until the teeth. Now, if you again, there's no protruding of the lips are nice and flat. If you were to do that, it would give a different sh sound. So it would be a sh, a sh. If you listen to both sounds, the first one is incorrect, the second one is correct. A sh, that's incorrect. A sh, the correct sound. A sh. Okay. So again, being mindful of your positioning of the lips. Some examples. One with a fatha in the mushaf is shakiran or shakira, shakira. We have it in the next example with a dhamma, shukura, shukura. Okay. We also have it with a sukoon here. So again, sukoon in this next example, you've got to stay on it. You've got to hear the spreading of the air. You have to prolong the sound, then move on. Al-mash'ama, al-mash'ama. See how I stay on the sheen for a bit? Al-mash'ama. And then finally, we have the one with the shadda. So shadda one, of course, we have the joining one, mubash, followed by shirin, the one with the kasra. So again, the one which is joint, we do the same thing. We hold it, we prolong it, we allow the spreading of the breath. And then we say the the kasra, mubashi, mubashirin, mubashirin. I hope that's clear, inshallah, and I hope that's of benefit. May Allah make it easy for all of us. There is a link again in the group description. Please feel free. I would advise, if you can, to do it straight away, immediately after the lesson, whilst everything is fresh in your mind. Jazakumullahu khairan. I hope to see you again on Monday, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.